Well, welcome into KARE 11 Sports Plus. I'm Julia Daniels, Nasser Akelvi with me once more. Thanks for joining me, Nasser.
My pleasure.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. We've got a little sports to talk about. Just a little bit today.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
We're getting into that part of summer where things are kind of flowing.
Mellowing out.
Yeah, mellowing out a little bit. First, because it is summertime, we got to talk about baseball, right? Twins.
They're coming up. Are they back? Yes. Some people would say yes. Not everybody. I would be one of the people who said yes.
Yeah, well, Nasser's, he's,
Objective, unbiased, third-party observer of
he's a
sports.
glass half full kind of guy.
True.
The Twins, so full transparency, Twins are playing right now probably if you're watching this, but they did play last night and they destroyed the top team in the NL Central in the Cubs. 8-1. Rough stuff for Chicago.
Yeah.
Win 3 of 4 at home for the Twins. This week. Their road trip before that was pretty rough, so they were happy to be back, and we're now seeing that production on the field. Big Buck, all-star guy.
Deservedly so.
Yeah.
I've said in the past, man, I'm the biggest Byron Buxton believer in Minnesota. I thought this guy was going to win MVP years ago, but he is showing everything that he needs to show right now. And I have a couple stats of his.
Okay,
this year, how he's doing. And it's important to point out that in the AL, he is in the top 10 in slugging percentage, in triples, in homers, in runs, in RBIs, and in steals. That is a superstar. That is an all-star. And because he is healthy, I only shudder to think how the Twins would be doing if Byron Buxton was not healthy this year. I know he still missed, I think, like 11 games earlier this year, but compared to almost every other year he's played, he has not been kind of reliably there on the field, playing more of that designated hitter role. And now he's finally back. He's healthy. He's at the All-Star game. Everything is going great.
The season would be completely different if he was not healthy right now. He starts things off with a double. Ryan Jeffers sends him home. Roy sends Ryan home. And in terms of homers that happened yesterday, Ryan Jeffers, Willie Castro, and Harrison Bader all had homers. Woof. Woof. Harrison Bader had that 2-run homer to kind of put the 15th nail in the coffin. No, not 15th. But it was the last 2 runs of the day for the Twins to win 8-1. 6 runs in the 8th inning. So things get started early in terms of scoring. And then, we have like what's the math there? Six innings right in there, and then all of a sudden the 8th inning happens, and they're like, you know what we should do? We should put some more runs on the board.
And they certainly did.
And that's what happens. It's just been interesting. Also, I want to give a shout out to Simeon Woods Richardson. He has had some great starts here recently. And yesterday was more of the same. 5 scoreless innings for him. Wow. His 3rd big league victory. He's a young guy that they've got a lot of faith in. And
he's had kind of a rocky road going back and forth a little bit. So it's nice to see him kind of start to put some things together, and this has been a very key part of this. This Twins little, not quite a huge win streak yet, but just kind of turning things around a little bit. He's a big part of that.
He was having a hard time this season, and he actually credited going back to St. Paul to play with the Saints last month, in the middle of the month, to kind of getting him back on track. And his 2 most recent starts have really shown that he's had some growth here recently. And shout out Pete Maki, too, because that guy is a great pitching coach. So exciting stuff for the Twins. Obviously, they're in the middle of this series with the Cubs right now. The Lynx, however, are, as we're recording this right now, so another full transparency, we don't know how the Lynx game is going to end up with Phoenix right now.
I'm going to hope they win.
But this is their toughest opponent that they've had in a while, but they've kind of been on a rough streak, but they got their first real break after Sunday's game. Now to Wednesday's game, they got the 2 days off, which was nice because they desperately needed it. They had 5 games in 8 days, and one of the only back-to-backs in the W happened Saturday, Sunday for the Lynx, and that's always tough. But they still pulled it out. I will say the first quarters have been rough.
Yeah.
But that first quarter is expected to be rough.
It was a close game against the Sky. I mean, it literally, like, last minute, you're still not exactly sure what's going to happen in that game.
Right.
Obviously the Lynx were the better team, but you kind of, it looks like you see the effects of the back-to-back, of how many games they're playing. They looked a little bit more tired maybe than they have looked all season long. And the All-Star break couldn't be coming up at a better time for the Lynx.
And headed into that game, the Sky also had an entire week off. So they had 7 days to figure out how to play the best team in the W, and they took full advantage of it.
Yeah, they did a good job. They did a really good job.
For considering they're the second worst team in the league right now. But All-Star games coming up. I actually want to pull up. So Nafisa Collier, for those that don't know, Nafisa Collier, Caitlin Clark are the two captains. Nafisa is the captain of the West, Caitlin Clark the captain of the East. Cheryl Reeve was set to be the coach of the East. And funny enough, last week during a post-game presser, somebody asked her about, oh, were you excited to be an All-Star? Would you rather be coaching an All-Star game or would you rather be off for the week?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, like I love coaching, whatever. And they were like, well, are you happy to be coaching the East? And she was like, am I coaching the East? And the response to that was, well, it says you're coaching the East. She said, we might switch things up. It's happened before. And then lo and behold, yesterday, the All-Star draft happens. And Cheryl ends up with Nafisa and Courtney again. And
Coach
also,
trade.
What'd you say?
I said a coach trade.
A coach
you
trade.
never see those.
I want to read off to you Fee's roster, okay? It's insane.
Yeah.
I would say Team Clark is absolutely cooked. The best team they've got, the best people they got on their team: Aaliyah Boston, Sabrina Ionescu, Asia Wilson.
This is Nafisa's team?
This is Fee. This is
Okay.
Clark's team,
Okay.
Caitlin Clark's team. Those are the top ones that stick out to me. Okay, ready? Are you ready for Fee's team? Fee, obviously.
MVP.
Stewie, Brianna Stewart, Alicia Gray, Paige Beckers, Courtney Williams, Angel Reese, Skylar Diggins, Alyssa Thomas, Kelsey Plum. That's not even the whole roster. So that's kind of what, and then you've got Courtney and Fee working with their coach.
Yeah.
Two players off the best team in the W, the best coach of the W. I get the feeling we could have a very lopsided All-Star game.
It could definitely
Coming up.
It could definitely be that way. I mean, the teams. I mean, you can't sleep on Caitlin Clark and Boston. I mean, they have a lot of chemistry. They've been doing it, and they're nice together. But man, oh man, that second team you read off, I don't even know how you attempt to stop any of them. I mean, those are all people you have to send a double at, and they got all of them. I mean, it's all 5 players. At any given time, you're going to want to double if you can. I'll tell you right now, as a Minnesota person, I wouldn't say a Minnesota sports fan necessarily, because that would be, you know what I mean, that would question the integrity of the whole program. As somebody who was in Minnesota, I will tell you I'm excited to see Nafisa and Paige buckets together on that All-Star team. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited too, and I think that Paige may give Fee maybe, I mean, depending, obviously, you don't know what the rotation's going to be like or anything like that. But if you have somebody that is so offensively inclined, like Paige is, it frees Fee up to not have to do so much work on that end.
Yeah.
And then she can go be the Defensive Player of the Year, which she was last year. So I am so excited. This is also next Saturday, June 19th at 7:30 p.m. is the WNBA All-Star Game. It has gained so much, I mean, the W has gained so much traction to begin with the past year or two.
Yeah.
People are so, I mean, everything was viral off of the selection show yesterday.
Yeah.
Just the way, I mean, and the people that they picked, I mean, we expected Fee to pick Courtney, but you get Fee and Stewie on the same team?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
What?
how you stop it.
What is happening?
And I think, honestly, that speaks a little bit to kind of, we hear this word a lot when it comes to men's basketball, when it comes to the NBA, the word aura.
Yeah.
The people just kind of gravitate towards the attitude, the swagger, the ambition, the character that athletes display. And now you're really kind of seeing that take place in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Where Caitlin Clark, she just has that aura, and so does Nafisa. And you just kind of want to be around whatever they're doing. And they're using that aura to really carry the entire sport forward, which is kind of all you can ask for out of your star players in any sport.
Yeah. Speaking of star players and aura,
You better
or
not.
lack thereof.
You better not. You better not.
Let's talk
Don't
about.
say it.
Let's talk about Kirk Cousins.
Who never lacked aura.
Kirk Cousins has always lacked aura.
Well,
I hate
agree
to
to
say
disagree.
it. I mean, it depends on what you define as aura, which is completely opinionated. So.
True.
I will say, yeah. Our producer Dan just said Cole's aura. Sure, if you like Cole's abs, this guy's got all the aura. Here, for those of you that don't know, he is back on the Netflix show Quarterback this season, which released yesterday, I believe.
Something like that.
And so people were binging it. Obviously, I haven't watched it yet, full transparency. But I have seen what everyone's talking about on social media. And I have my own opinions because I did cover Kirk, but I also don't have. Here's what I picked up on. I might get absolutely persecuted for this. But
Rightfully so.
being an outsider and coming in and only covering Kirk for 2 seasons, I don't really have the favoritism towards Kirk that everyone else does. I feel like I came in and his first season, he was very much like the Kirk that I expected him to be, and then his second season, it was like all of a sudden he was like this cool guy, that this, that, and the other. Here's where I get frustrated. I get frustrated because I'm a fan of the sport, right? I feel bad for Falcons fans because Kirk Cousins wholeheartedly admitted that he played through injury just so that Michael Penix would not get any playing time because he was so worried about being a starter and being replaced. That bugs me because that means that you are selfishly playing not your best and not what's best for the team at that point and for the fans. At the end of the day, this is all about the fans. This is for the fans. That's what this is about. That's the number one thing that bugged me. Number two, him talking about him having regrets about leaving Minnesota because he found out that they were going to draft a quarterback. We knew that the Vikings were also going to draft a quarterback in that draft. So it wasn't like that was too much different. Also, you put $100 million in front of somebody, so $50 million a year, says this is a 2-year contract, $100 million guaranteed from the Falcons. So $50 million versus the probably 25 at least, or maybe at most, from the Vikings for a 1-year deal for Kirk. And he's sitting there telling us, I wouldn't have left, I wouldn't have da-da-da. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for 1 second. I think he was going to go because he constantly talks about how it's not about the money, it's not about the money, it's not about the money. It is about the money. Just own up to it. They were going to pay you more. You had a longer option there. That it was more appealing to you. If you had known they were going to draft a quarterback, you still would have been okay with it. You knew the Vikings were going to do the same thing. Why would you think you'd have longevity there? So that's what I think is just sketchy about the whole thing. I'll get off my soapbox and hear what you have to say, Miss Sarah.
I think the blame you are assigning Kirk Cousins, I think that blame is valid, and I don't think it should be assigned to Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
I think that blame should be assigned to the Falcons front office. Why would you do that? Why would you draft? It's not the problem is not that they drafted a quarterback. That's not the issue. I mean, teams can draft a quarterback whenever they want, whether or not they have a star, right? That's not the problem. The problem is you have holes on the roster, and you're telling me with your first-round draft pick in the top 10, you're going to go out and get Michael Penix, who at that point was hurt, who's recovering from injury after you just put all this capital, made this whole big deal about how you're bringing in a guy, and I get it. As somebody who enjoys Minnesota sports, Vikings felt the same way when they got Kirk Cousins. He's going to be the one to connect all the dots. We got Drake London. We got Bijan Robinson. We have all these different pieces around him. He can be that guy. The Falcons did this. They put Kirk in the situation. They put Penix in the situation. I think ultimately, if anyone should be blamed for how the situation is playing out now, which is clearly bitter, where you see this version of Kirk who's like, I don't want the young guy to play. I don't think that's that different from any quarterback in Kirk's situation. I don't think any quarterback would be differently. I don't think any quarterback would be like, well, if I can't play, if he thought he could play and he's like, this is going to ensure my career extends longer. I don't think
that's what he was thinking. I don't think he said he read Drew Brees' book back in 2010 when he released it. And Drew Brees said, never give your backup a chance. And so what he thought was, I knew I was injured. I knew I wasn't playing my best. I knew I wasn't doing what's best for the team. But I was so worried about Michael Penix taking my job that I decided not to tell medical staff that I was in as much pain as I was in. Because teams cannot force you to do anything.
I think if we were watching Kirk Cousins last year in that stretch of games that ultimately culminated with the Vikings game, it was pretty clear this guy was not right.
Yeah.
This guy was having no touchdown, 3 interception, 4 interception games.
And that's why they benched him.
Missing wide. Yeah, I mean, and they had to, is the thing. They created, in my perspective, they created a situation where no matter what happened next, there was going to be an explosion.
I think two things can be true at the same time. It could be the front office's fault, and I think it could be Kirk's ego's fault at the same time. Also, not to mention, we already know there was tampering that was involved with the Atlanta situation to begin with.
Give the Vikings a first-round draft pick, by the way.
Here's what
Give the Vikings a first-rounder.
My thing at the end of the day is, I don't like how Kirk portrays himself to be this very moral, great guy, and then does the things that he does. And this has been, and here's the thing, he had like a whole career of like backing up, like he's a super nice guy. And I'm not saying Kirk's not a nice person, but I'm saying that there have been some things that have been questionable, and he has tried to write them off as he's some kind of victim, and he's not.
Can I just ask you one question
to
close this out?
You have a few seconds.
Yes or no, will the Vikings trade for Kirk Cousins as a backup quarterback this year?
Absolutely not. They will not. No.
I think they might. Stay tuned.
I don't think they will. Thanks for joining us. That was a fun little discussion. We'll see you next Wednesday for another edition of KARE 11 Sports Plus.